Hey guys, Jengar here. Welcome to today's realistic review in which we are taking a look at the Focke-Wulf 190 A-8 sitting at 5.0 battle rating in realistic battle. Quite the particular plane, I have to say, one of the heavier Antons in the game, and definitely not one of my favorite Focke-Wulfs because of this little bit less roll rate, little bit less climb rate, little bit less performance, all in exchange for more guns and a good amount of ammo. But this plane does have a slight advantage on some of the earlier Focke-Wulfs in the sense that it does get an air spawn, and that compensates a little bit for the climb rate, but you always end up not the highest plane. Let's say the fast climbers out there will quickly gain that altitude that you had in advantage in the beginning, and you definitely have to side climb in this plane. It is what it is, but as a boom and zoomer this plane can be excellent, but you do have to make sure to get that altitude advantage. The plane is not particularly fast. The maximum speed in this plane at sea level without web is 531 kilometers an hour, and with web 551. At 4500 meters this is 463 without web and 483 with web, and finally at 6500 meters still go up to 438 without web and 458 with web. As you see, the advantage of the web is about a 20 kilometer difference between no web and web at all altitudes, so it stays relatively functional on the higher altitudes as well compared to some other planes. That is quite nice, but still the cruising speed of this plane is nothing to write home about. It is not a fast plane at 5.0, especially in up tiers. The speed difference is significant. The top speed in a dive is quite good though. The red line is at 867 kilometers an hour, and at 930, about that speed, she will rip apart. I tried to rip her apart twice, didn't manage it. One time I got to 920 and the other time to 930, with 6500 meters being the altitude on the first one and about 7500 on the second one. So it is quite difficult to rip the plane, let's say that. Control stiffening starts at 500 kilometers an hour and it becomes a little bit more severe at 650. Stall speed in the plane is average with 165. As we try to finish off this match, getting the last plane at the airfield, my fourth kill, and trying to slip out after this hill here, ducking behind it and getting out of the guns. We survive and get away clean. Doesn't always happen, but it's nice when it does. The firepower in the plane is absolutely fantastic. You are running with 4 20mm MG 151s in total. You have two of them, the outer pair with 140 rounds, and the inner pair has 250 rounds per gun. Now those 20mm are supported by two 13mm MG 131s with 400 rounds per gun, which is very nice. Good machine guns those, and well, it just creates amazing firepower. 6 guns, 4 20s and 2 13mm. I used stealth belts for all these matches. When you get the aim finally on these guns, it is very nice to shoot with stealth, because the surprise factor will always help you in that sense. There are several other belts though with a lot of high explosive fillers. The famous Minengeschoss, that's what you want in this plane, and if you have a belt with 2, 3 or even 4 in it, those belts will be quite effective. And as you see, you can also miss with this plane if you really do your best and don't get the aim right. We completely miss on that first shot. Absolutely magnificent. But this guy was AFK. I don't know what people do sometimes, climbing AFK when the match just starts, but I'll take it. It's always good. Now the performance in this plane is in some areas very good, in other areas not so good. The acceleration is good both in a straight line and in a dive. The energy retention in a horizontal is very good, but in the vertical it is only get about decent from it. Let's say it is quite heavy with the guns and all the ammo in the plane, and there's a lot of armor on this plane as well, which does offer the pilot some protection. But all in all, in the vertical, this plane doesn't perform that great compared to the competition at this battle rating. Now that was the P-63 that came all the way down from that higher altitude for me. Magnificent plane, much better in the energy retention department and stuff like that. There's a better performance in that plane as well, so it's a dangerous opponent. And there's a lot of planes behind me as well, so I'm gonna have to avoid this BF-109 right now. He is helicoptering at me, and I just baited him for one of my allies, as with another plane who was also coming up for me. 2 planes baited, and we're gonna get a third one ourselves here. So the climb rate in the plane, like I said, is average, no more than average. And really the air spawn does save it from being too much hampered by that in the general performance. Turn time in the plane is below average to average with flaps. The flaps only rip off at 770 kilometers an hour. So that is a quite good rip speed, only in the extreme ends of your dive where you rip off your flaps. So you can use them, get your average turn time, and with the roll rate you can make this plane well, decent to good in the maneuverability. The roll rate is great, as I said. It is a Focke-Wulf, although this has 420s in the wing, so it's a little bit less than some of the earlier models. But all in all, a roll rate is great, and the overall maneuverability decent to good. Overheating in this plane is not an issue at all. You can web to your heart's content. This plane will not overheat almost in no circumstances. I haven't managed to get the engine to red without it being hit by some bullet somewhere, you know. But yeah, no, so no overheating in this plane to worry about. Durability in the plane is decent. There is some armor in the plane. It is not heavy plates, but there is some armor in there that makes the machine gun bullet sometimes not get your pilot. So that's good. It can take a hit or two. This plane for me is a pure boom and zoomer. If you get jumped from above, you usually are in quite a bit of trouble. You do have your roll rate though to get defensive flying to quite a high level in this plane. It can definitely get people off the tail by defensive flying, rolling and anticipating the enemy's move, getting him to overshoot. That is one of the strengths in the Focke-Wulfs, of course. Don't try to turn with people, of course. I mean, I hear many people say that the Focke-Wulfs are crap. They don't like them, the 190s. I love them. The roll rate makes them almost superior to any other plane in rolling. And rolling is one of the most important things when you're trying to avoid getting hit by somebody who comes from above and jumped you, let's say. So I love the Focke-Wulfs for that. A good roll rate is essential in defensive flying, and the Focke-Wulfs are great at that. And some are magnificent at it, but this one is still great at it and better than most of the things that you will face. So make use of that, and when you get jumped, start rolling. But do start rolling while looking at your opponent. That's where the sweet spot lies, of course. You have to roll while seeing what your enemy does and then counteracting what he does, and rolling the other way, and that often works very well. If you cannot do that yet, you definitely have to work on your camera work, which is one of the most important things in defensive flying. I have a special tutorial on that on the channel, so if you have questions about defensive flying, do check that out, and be aware that you have to be able to look at your opponent while you are making defensive maneuvers. And you will do that a lot in this plane, because as I said, this plane's climb rate isn't the best, so you will face planes above you regularly, unfortunately. But this plane is capable of dealing with it, that's for sure. As we do get shot down, eventually, by this Corsair. Hey guys, so here we are after the match. Now, this plane definitely is one of the heavier Antons out there. That's why this plane also got an air spawn to compensate for that lacking climb rate. With that, you can often be on time on most maps to catch some bombers, which is always nice. And with some side climbing, you can get to a decent altitude and face off against most opponents on an equal altitude. But the fast climbers will always outclimb you, even with an airfield start. And you definitely have to choose your moments, let's say. This plane with planes above it is not too great, except of course, as I said, the defensive flying in this plane is better than in most planes, so you can definitely defend yourself and have people overshoot, also because this plane is not one of the fastest planes. So you'll be able to get people to overshoot on you, especially with some smart throttle use and flap use and stuff like that. And the roll rate definitely is one of the strengths of the Focke-Wulf. The dive speed is also good, so you can get away from a lot of planes as well. So all in all, this plane has options. It has great firepower. It's a brawler, and as a boom and zoomer, it is very good with that performance in a dive, the high top speed in a dive, and the guns. You know, you only need a second on an enemy plane, and it will evaporize. So all in all, I quite like the plane. I liked it much better than the last time I flew it, which was actually a long time ago when I did fairly bad in this plane. I barely got a 1-to-1 kill death ratio, actually worse than that in the past, but that's like 3 years ago or something. And but now I did much better, and it's a nice plane, definitely worth getting and trying your hands on it. Guys, I hope you enjoyed the review. I want to thank you all for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye. If you're new here, make sure to hit the subscribe button, become part of this community. If you are already a subscriber, don't forget to like the video, do leave me a comment, and if you really feel like helping out today, make sure to share the video with your friends and let them know about the channel.